welcome to yet another episode of the BWC Podcast, where we have real talk with real estate agents. Today we have the lovely Cypress McConnell joining us. So absolute pleasure to have you with us today, and to be honest, have you with the company. It's been what, 3 months now?
Just over 2 months now.
Just over 2 months?
Yeah.
Cool. And how have you found it so far?
I love it. I mean, the culture here it's not like anything else that I've experienced. Obviously, I've come from quite a big corporate company and then to a smaller company where it just feels more like family, more homely. I really like it so far.
Awesome. So we could obviously start off by jumping into your real estate experience since you've been in Dubai, because you've been in Dubai about 2 years now?
3.5.
3.5. Wow. So been about 3.5 years now. But I'd quite like to learn a little bit more, or share a little bit more about you, maybe when you were younger, and what led you to actually end up coming to Dubai. Okay. So tell us a little bit about your childhood. I know that sounds quite strange to say, but no, I think it's important because it helps everyone understand what type of person you are and sort of everything you've done in your life. So sure. I remember before you mentioned to me that you obviously moved around a lot as a kid.
Yes, I did.
So tell us a little bit about that.
So I'm a military kid. My dad was in the Royal Air Force. So when I was really young, we moved around the UK, and then later on, I ended up moving to Spain, and then I spent time in France as well. So being all around. Where are you from originally in the UK? Okay, so this is a tough question. My family all live in Middlesbrough, which I hate to admit. It's actually quite embarrassing. But so that's where I say I'm from, because that's where home is really for me. But a mixture of everything. That's why my accent's quite weird. Okay, and then how old were you when you moved to Spain? I was about 10 when I moved to Spain. Okay. So you went through school and everything in Spain? I did, yeah. So in Spain, I went to a British school. So most of the classes were in English, and then we did have some Spanish classes. Are you fluent in Spanish? I am, but I need to practice. Okay. I used to be able to just, speak, but now it takes me some time to get back into the flow. Okay, and how was it quite hard going into a school was it all Spanish people, or was it a mixture, or? It was a mixture. It was quite a healthy mix. We had Americans, we had a lot of Spanish, we had, Russians, Polish, we had all over. International school. Yeah. Okay. But it was a very small school, so there was about maybe 7 or 8 people in my class. Okay. So and then how long were you actually in Spain for? I was there for 4 years. 4 years? Yeah. Okay. And then Seville, lovely place. It's gorgeous. And then after Spain, you then moved again, right? Yes, I went to France. Okay. Whereabouts in France? Nantes, which is like north coast. Okay. And that was a horrible experience. It was just awful. Why? So the school that I went to was like a fully French school, and I didn't speak a word of French at the time. So it was really difficult to make friends. And there's always a little bit of rivalry between the French and the English. So I wasn't very liked by my peers. Let's just say that. Were you like the only British person in school? I was the only English person, and I was quite hated for it. What was the difference, did you say, between living in Spain and France then? Because I guess a lot of people these days they tend to move around when they're older as opposed to when they're younger. Mm-hmm. So what was it like? So the main differences for me obviously were like in Spain, it was smaller classes, and obviously I got to speak English. Yeah. And the people are very kind of laid back, how the Spanish are with the siestas and the fiestas and all of that kind of stuff. So it was super like chilled, I would say, in Spain. Yeah, okay. It's like a relaxing nature. Exactly, right. And then in France, it's a little bit more, the school system there is incredible. So they do baccalaureate, which their school days are so long. So it's basically kind of like your A-levels and GCSEs, but tied into one. Okay. So it's very rigorous. It's quite tough curriculum. So you're at school until 6:30 every day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that like extracurricular stuff as well?
No,
or
that was just your
school?
standard. Yeah, that's just school. Yeah. So I mean, I really applaud like the French system is amazing, and they do churn out really good students.
So that's probably helped when you came over to Dubai and you were working 12, 14-hour days.
Yeah.
You went to an incredibly hard school.
Well,
anyway.
yeah, I think my work experience at McDonald's is what really sorted me for this.
You never know. You never know.
Yeah.
So then, so you were in France, in Nantes for how long?
I was there for just over 3 years, I want to say.
Okay. Okay. So and then you finished school there, and then what happened after that?
So as soon as I finished school, I was like, I'm going back to the UK. So I went to England and did my A-levels at college.
Okay.
So I did law, business, maths, economics, and then an extended.
Which ties into what you do today, which is Dubai real estate, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, and then how do you think all that traveling around, I suppose, because it must be pretty tough, right? Moving from place to place.
Mm-hmm. So it's always having to make new friends. Believe it or not, knowing me today, you wouldn't think that I was shy, but I was very shy. Like, I was so introverted.
Really?
Yeah, when I was young.
That.
I know. It's like a different person. And I think as soon as I moved back to England and was actually able to speak to people, I was like, I love this. Do you know what I mean? This is great, I can actually talk.
Because of the language
barrier. Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think as well, moving around and speaking to different cultures, you kind of learn how to communicate in other ways, through body language, all of those kind of things.
Because of course now you have to do that when you're meeting clients, because in Dubai we're obviously 90% expats, around that 91, 92.
Yeah.
So you have to learn how to deal with people that you can't necessarily use normal language to communicate. It's more the body gestures, the hand gestures, and the tone of voice.
Slowing it down.
Yeah, I always had that problem when I moved to Dubai. It was very much a case of people telling me that I speak too well English,
right,
and I spoke too fast. So I had to learn how to speak like broken English to them, which then obviously helps.
Which is quite tough, but I think you need to be able to, depending on who the person is, where they're from, etc. You need to be able to adapt. Do you know what I mean? And I think moving around as well, that's it. It makes you adaptable.
So do you think you kind of got like a thick skin around like sudden change because of what you went through when you were younger? Yeah,
I would say so, and a thick skin to people trying to shit about me.
So now
I'm not phased. Do you know what I mean? People say, think whatever they want about me, and I.
Good. No, I think that really helps. And then, so was it just you that was moving around? Like, were you an only child, or did you have siblings, or?
So I have a younger brother.
Okay, how old is he?
He's 25 now, actually.
Oh wow, okay.
So me and him, obviously, we had quite the sob story, let's say. But he's always been my best friend.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's so nice though. I think it helps. Like, I had a similar background. Like, I grew up I was the youngest. I had an older brother, older sister, and we were a very, very good family. Like, always friends. But I think a lot of people, I feel sorry for those that sort of born with no siblings. I couldn't imagine it. But
that's what I keep thinking. I'm like, eventually when I have kids, I definitely don't want to just have one kid, because I can't imagine them being alone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's tough, but. And then so your parents now, so where are they now?
So my mum and dad separated when I was really young.
Okay.
My
and then you moved around with your dad?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So my mum is in the UK.
And then, so obviously you went through all of that. You've done college, you've done university.
Correct, yeah.
What made you not go into what you studied?
So I actually did for some time. So I studied law.
Yep.
That was a 3-year degree. Once I graduated, I secured a job at a law firm. I worked there for 2 years, and it just wasn't for me. I wasn't clicking with it. So, I loved law, studying it. I loved it. It was so interesting.
Yeah.
In practice, whole other story. It's
so I suppose everyone
different.
everyone thinks law and thinks, oh, it'd be like Suits.
Exactly, Harvey Specter. Yeah, no, it's not like that in real life.
Is it not like that?
But I was basically Meghan Markle.
Okay, like a paralegal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was pretty much what I did.
It's bad, I don't know that.
Yeah, so that was all over COVID, actually, funny enough.
So were you working from home doing law, or was it still office-based?
Yeah, still office-based. Because we were doing the legal aid contract, we were essential workers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we were still in the office.
What was it like actually working in the law industry, I guess? What was it actually like?
Boring.
Really?
So boring.
Just paperwork.
So boring. It was the same stuff every day, sitting in the office, and obviously they were lovely. I did meet some lovely people working there.
Yep.
But it's not the same as the personalities and the characters that you have in real estate. You know, there's so many.
Very formal.
Yeah. It was super formal. Okay. You know, I couldn't crack jokes like I do now.
Were you dealing majority with like in-house staff, or was there a lot of clients that you were dealing with?
It was both. It was both. Yeah. So obviously I was in a client-facing role.
Yep.
So I was dealing with a lot of clients. In a legal aid contract, you're dealing with people who can't afford to pay for a solicitor themselves, so the government pays.
Okay.
Yes. So that's basically what I was doing.
So you've done that for 2 years, right?
Yes.
And then, at what point did you think, or was there a certain moment where you sat there and just thought, like, I can't, this isn't what I want to do, or like I need a change, or how did that sort of work?
So this was in the back of my mind probably since the first 6 months of being in that job. And I kept thinking, like, what else would I do? Like, I've just spent this long getting my degree, you know, doing my A-levels, doing my degree to get this job, and now I don't like it. What am I going to do? And I always say that everything happens for a reason, and fate somehow made this happen, that they had to let go of me because of COVID. The company was struggling, the firm was struggling. Okay. So they had to let go of a few people. I was one of them.
Was that because you were like
Because I was junior.
You were the most junior. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that's what happens, right? They'll see who's joined recently and go, sorry, like it's just not going to work out. Same thing happened here. Yeah.
And at the time, I was heartbroken. Even though I didn't like the job, it's just that rejection, do you know?
Yeah.
It was
being told that you can't do something, even it's not on your terms.
Yeah.
I think that's the hardest thing. If it's on your terms, then you get over it pretty quickly. But when someone does something that you have zero control over, it's incredibly hard to take it on the chin.
It's really tough. And I was like, this is the end of my life. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do from here.
Yeah.
And eventually I kind of got out of the depression. And
How long did you not work for then? So you were let go, and then how long was it that you weren't?
I'd say about 3 months.
Okay. Which is obviously as everything's going on with COVID and everything's starting to get worse.
Yeah. Wow. So it was a tough time because I was just questioning my whole life decisions. Yeah. And then I was applying for loads of jobs, and I was actually going to move to London to do a recruitment job.
Okay.
So I'd had everything all ready to go. And then...
As in, like, job offer, like, place to live, everything?
Yeah, everything was all sorted. And then, so my uncle, at the time, was living in Dubai. Okay. And he got wind, obviously, that I was supposed to be moving to London for this recruitment job. And he was like, look, if you're going to go into recruitment, why don't you do real estate? Come to Dubai and do real estate in Dubai. And I was like, oh my God, that sounds like dream come true. Like, that sounds like amazing. So,
had you ever thought about Dubai before this?
So I'd been on holiday and I bloody loved it. Like,
really?
I really wanted to move here, and the end goal in law was to eventually come over with a firm to Dubai. Okay. So my uncle, thank God, honestly, he's amazing. He's been so good to me. Yeah. He let me stay with him for a couple of months.
I think that's quite good, because a lot of people that look to come to Dubai, that's one of the biggest stresses, is like, where am I going to live?
It's so tough for people. Like, I've seen so many people come and go because they've, run out of money. Like, it's so common. So I was quite lucky in that I did have that head start. Yeah. And
then so he obviously said, come and do real estate. So how did that actually materialize from getting, or like planning to go to London? Everything was set up. You were ready to then taking an absolute curveball and ending up in Dubai, like how long was the process? Like was everything set up, or did you just sort of jump at the gun? Or
so it was very quick.
Okay.
It was very quick. So he literally said, look, so he just bought a house.
Okay.
He bought a house through SBAS, the company that I used to work for, through my old manager actually, Matthew.
Okay.
So he was like, oh look, I'll speak to him and pass him your CV, whatever.
Okay.
Anyway, I got an interview straight away. I got offered the job and I moved over within a week.
Wow.
Yeah.
A week.
Within a week. Yeah.
I suppose you were pretty well prepared to pack up and leave.
Exactly.
Because that's sort of what you were doing.
I was already packed, so.
No, it's crazy. Like I think it's one of the best things about Dubai is that you can literally, because it sees so many tourists every single year. I think last year there was like 16 million tourists you can, like, and obviously from being from the UK, you can just turn up and you have the visa sorted and you get 30 days and everything like this. But I've had people come before to join me, and it's literally, okay, cool, you've got the job, great. I'm going to book my flight for tomorrow and I'll be out there in 2 days. Yeah. Like, it's ridiculous. So I guess it's quite nice you had that cushion, like you already had that familiarity. So when you moved here, your first couple of months, do you think because a lot of people don't even visit Dubai before they move here. Like I myself, I got offered a job, I hadn't even come to Dubai, it didn't even cross my mind, I just packed my whole life up here and moved here. Do you think coming to Dubai on holiday was a good thing or a bad thing before living here?
I think it was a good thing.
Okay.
Because I got the touristy stuff out the way. Then I didn't have to bother with any of that when I came.
Okay.
Obviously already familiar with the area, all of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And then what about, so you obviously joined the company that you previously worked at. What was the biggest takeaway from the first 2 months for you? So
I just honestly smashed the phones. I was just like, the first 2 months is the hardest, I'd say. Well, the first 6 months is the hardest in real estate, whether you're in leasing or sales. I obviously started in leasing. Yeah. Because that's obviously what the majority of people would do. Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Like, why do you think people should or it's advisable to do leasing before sales?
See, I would always advise people to do leasing before sales because you're building relationships with people. Okay. And in leasing as well, you're speaking to people more often. Okay. So you do have the opportunity to meet them more and, build that relationship. Okay. Whereas in sales, it's not as,
Yeah, it's a bit more like...
long-winded.
Yeah, I suppose in rentals as well, like the one thing I always say is when you're in rentals, when someone needs something from you, they need it from you now. Yeah. Because their property's vacant and it's going to cost them money, right? But when you're in sales, people can look to sell, have tenants in there, they can test the market, and it sort of throws your expectations off a bit because you might be dealing with someone now, like even me, I was just dealing with someone that I rented the property to like 5 years ago, and now he was looking to sell. That's 5 years. I've been sat speaking to him every couple of months, and it's only now that it's made sense for him to sell his property. Sure. But I think when you're dealing with rentals, you have a huge influx of people that need something now, so therefore there's more demand.
And also, I think that in rentals, landlords are more likely to give you the time of day when you're new, whereas in sales, you need the experience. You need to know what you're talking about.
Why do you think that is?
Well, because you're dealing with a very expensive asset, right? It's a lot of money at stake. So you want somebody that knows what they're doing. They know the area. They can sell the house.
Yeah, because I suppose in some cases, your house, like a lot of these people, especially now where we're getting into the height of the market where people are fully renovated, they want someone that's actually going to take care of the property and find the right person to buy it.
Exactly.
And not have their time messed around because they're busy people, right? Like I always say, landlords and investors in Dubai or people, everyone in Dubai is busy. Yeah. So when you're dealing with people initially, it's you have to sort of manage that expectation from the start. Yeah. If you don't, then it's very easy to ruin relationships.
100%.
So you obviously came over to Dubai. You worked there you worked at the previous company you started. You had a good but tough first 6 months. Do you think there's anything in your life that better prepared you, that you've done before you came to Dubai to help you when you started? Do you think there's anything that you maybe done? I know you obviously, for those of you that don't know, Cypress, she'll hate me for saying this, but Cypress was actually on TV in the UK, right? So what was it you were on?
I was on Take Me Out.
She was on Take Me Out. And
for people that don't know what that is, it's a dating show. So yeah.
Right.
This was when I was 18. I was young and dumb, but it was a bloody good time.
It was a good time.
Yeah, it was a real good time.
Do you think like stuff like that you've done in the past, do you think that sort of helped bring out the inner Cypress? So when you came to Dubai, it was a lot more like a genuine side of you. Because I think a lot of people over here, like, they sometimes try and be a bit fake. They try and be someone they're not because they think that's the type of person that people want to see. Yeah. So do you think that helped?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, obviously, and it helped me grow confidence too.
Okay.
That was a really big thing because
obviously I know you said that you weren't very confident as a kid.
Yeah, I was really shy. I didn't have an ounce of self-confidence.
Really?
Yeah, and then it was later on, obviously, when I did that, and then when I actually started like working and when I started dating and stuff like that as well, that kind of helped me grow my confidence. And then so when I came over here, I still wasn't my full confident self that I am right now.
Yeah.
You know, obviously it takes time, but now I'm,
And the Dubai life, right? There's a lot of stigma around people living in Dubai for good reasons, for bad reasons. Yeah. What's been your experience living in a place that is non-stop? It's 24/7. Your work is your life, and your life is your work. Like what's that whole journey been like for you?
So I mean, as you say, I mean, Dubai is very work hard, play hard, and I love that. I love the fast-paced energy. Yeah. So I might have mentioned my first job was McDonald's, which was super fast-paced, and I love that because I don't like to be bored sitting around doing nothing, you know. Yeah. And in Dubai, obviously, like, even outside of work, there's so many things to do. You can do a different thing every night. Yeah. Do you know? You can go different places.
I still think that I've been in Dubai for 6 years now, and I think that there is still so many places that's been open. Like, it took me 3 years to go up the Burj Khalifa. I didn't go up the Burj Khalifa for 3 years.
It's a touristy thing, isn't it?
Until one of my friends came over, and we went up there, and I just like, because you see it every single day, you just think, it's just another thing. But there's so many things that I still haven't done. There's brunches, there's pools, there's hotels that you go to, there's events, and I think it's crazy to have access to all of that. But obviously at the start, did you go out and do all of that stuff at the start, or did you, like, because I know the proper way to do real estate, right? For anyone listening that doesn't understand it, the proper way is, because you don't earn a salary.
Yeah, you've got to knuckle down.
The idea is to knuckle down, forget about everything, and once you've become stable, then start enjoying Dubai. Did you do that, or did you?
No, that's exactly what I did. Okay. So when I first came over, I didn't go out. I didn't do very much, to be honest. I lived at the office. Yeah. And I think a lot of people in leasing actually do that. I feel leasing people tend to really put in the work, and they're the ones that are in the office until like 8 o'clock. That was always what I saw at my previous company. So yeah, for me, the first 6 months was just pure graft, and then once I started making that money. And what was
because you did start doing well, right? You started becoming very consistent in leasing, which obviously then later on gave you the opportunity to move into the sales team, which is what it's like the stepping stone, right? It's what everyone turns up to do, because that's where the good money is. That's where you can essentially change your life. There are people that can do it in lettings, but I always see lettings as a stepping stone into 100%. the big world. Yeah. What's the hardest thing that you, looking back now, think that, or the hardest thing that you had to encounter in your first 6 months was? Was it the mental side? Was it the rejection? Like, what was it that was really tough for you at the start?
So,
if anything, because obviously some people were just like, no.
I mean, the whole thing is tough. Let's not lie.
But I always say to people, this is like when we're ever speaking to people about potentially moving over, I always say like, this is the hardest job you will ever do in your life. And I think some people
think it's just opening doors, but it's not. There's so much goes on behind the scenes. But the hardest thing for me is I'm quite an emotional person. And it was the emotional roller coaster, like daily rejection, taking it personally. You're making like 100, 150 calls, like you're speaking to so many people that don't want to speak to you. 100%. So many people are like, literally fuck off down the phone at you. Do you know what I mean? And it's dealing with that and building that thick skin and just not taking it personal. Yeah.
What do you think helped you not take it personal?
I'm a big believer in exposure therapy. So I think the more that you deal with something and that you encounter it, the more you get over it. I think that's the only way to get over your fears. Did
you recognise that before you started, or was that something you later then became more aware of?
Well, so the exposure therapy thing for me, right? So I used to have the biggest fear of needles. And it's so random, needles, right?
Don't tell me the way you got over it was going to your medical.
That really, honestly, I was shitting myself for my medical. That was probably the scariest thing about this whole thing.
Okay.
But when I was in hospital, they had to put needles in me the whole time.
Why were you in hospital?
Oh, God, mate, I vaping too much.
What, really?
My lungs just gave in.
Was that while you were in Dubai?
This was not last Christmas, the Christmas before.
So yes.
I was living in Dubai, but I was actually on holiday at home. So I was at home. Yeah, it was over Christmas. I was in hospital on Christmas Day.
So for those of you listening, don't vape.
Yeah, don't vape. I still do it anyway.
What happened? You had a little thing that you were trying out to help you stop.
Oh, so I started this. It's a diffuser, so it's got no nicotine in it. But then I lost it, and so I've tried to order a new one. Issues getting it delivered, so I'm just like, I'll just vape in the meantime. You know, honestly.
So you obviously, so you said you went into hospital, right? Was it pretty serious?
It was, I mean, I wasn't like on death's door or anything like that, but it was pretty bad. Like I was in there because I couldn't breathe. I was on a machine for about a week. And do you know the first thing I did when I got off the machine?
What?
Go downstairs for a cigarette.
Staring death in its face. Jesus.
I think part of it is like, this job is so stressful. You need your little, you need
something, which is why a lot of people resort. Like I always say, like I think we have one of the fittest, other than the fitness industry, but we have one of the fittest industries for people in real estate, because so many people that I speak to say like after a day they have to go to a gym because that's their like stress release.
Yeah.
And I always used to say, like, for me mine was a little bit different. Like when I used to start off in real estate, I used to commit to working like 6.5 days a week, as long as I had half of a day where I could go down to a beach or I could go to a swimming pool or just chill out.
You need to, otherwise you go crazy.
But you can't do that. I genuinely believe like there's not many places in the world that you can actually do that. Like
True.
My struggle for me before coming over to Dubai was that I was working like 5-6 days a week. I was in the office. I used to work in the motor trade, so I was in a showroom from about 7 a.m. till about 7 p.m. Waking up on a cold, gloomy, wet morning in winter, where you're waking up and it's dark, and you're getting home and it's dark. It takes like a toll on you.
100%.
And I feel like the benefit of living in Dubai, if anything, is the fact that, apart from the summer when it's way too hot, you can drive to work with your windows down, sunglasses on every single day. We have like 8 days of rain per year. So everything else just helps it. It helps the stress, it helps the constant work. Do you think?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, the way of life here is just, it's not like anywhere else. It's like a bubble here. Do you know what I mean? We're not in the real world, really.
No, I always used to say that whenever, like when I was over here when we had Brexit in the UK, I still to this day don't really understand what it is. I don't even know if we're in the European Union.
No, we're not. No, we're out of it now. Yeah.
No, do you know what? I do know that because when I flew to Barcelona recently.
Oh yeah.
And I couldn't go through EU, like the passport control,
yes,
and I had to wait in a really long queue, and I was like, this is the first time I've even done this, because I didn't really travel. Since COVID, I hadn't really travelled. I always stayed in Dubai. I couldn't leave for like 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't want to. I could have, but I didn't want to.
Yeah.
So obviously you're now 3.5 years into your real estate career. You've progressed in roles. You've progressed to different companies. What was the? Let's talk about the best part. What was the best part of your journey in Dubai? Like, do you think it was the month where you made the most commission? Do you think there was a point where you realised you had become a completely different person in a good way since you landed? Like, what was it for you that when you look back on it, you think like that was my best moment?
So,
or is it hard to say in this?
Do you know what it was? The best moment wasn't actually when I was in it. It was when I took a step back. So
okay.
Between, obviously I've worked at 2 companies here. Between me leaving my last company and coming here, I went to Thailand on holiday.
I remember.
And
yeah, you were like, cool, I'm going to go to Thailand for a week.
Yeah, okay. It was amazing.
You went by yourself as well,
I did,
right?
yes, I did. But having that time to myself to truly just kind of reflect, I actually I was like, oh my God, like, I'm the shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, what is my life? I have to pinch myself still that this is actually my life. Do you know what I mean? And I've realised that I'm not just in it for the commission. Do you know what I mean? There's so many agents that are just like, yeah, I just want the deal now. I just want the deal now. Yeah. No, I'm here for the long run. I'm here to actually look after my clients.
I think it's important to understand that as well. Like, we get so many people that join the market. Like, Dubai real estate market has a 70% fail rate. And I genuinely believe, I'm not surprised by it, because I think there's obviously a lot of companies that will sell the dream and things like that. But I understand why they do it, because they're not technically saying anything that's wrong. They're just not talking about the bad stuff as well. Yeah. But I think that you get 70% of people that fail, and there's a few different factors that come into that. You have time. Some people just don't have enough time to make it work because they run out of money, which is obviously understandable because it's a commission-only role. And the second one's actually patience.
100%.
I think
so many people.
People just they can't. They want everything now. They're not willing to. They'd rather risk ruining a relationship just because they want a deal now, as opposed to a deal in a year time when it's actually right for their client.
Something my mum always says is you reap what you sow. So it's about putting in the work and then seeing the rewards later on. Do you know what I mean? The more you water your plants, it might take a while, but
it's going to grow. You know it's going to grow if you do the right stuff. You know it's going to grow.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you think is one of the biggest misconceptions about Dubai real estate?
Oh, I mean, people think it's all glitz and glamour. I tell you, it's not. Honestly, or some of the stuff that I've seen, I think we've all seen.
In real estate, right? We're not talking personally now.
Jamie. Well, that too, but you know. But honestly, like, there's so much. I mean, there's cockroaches. That's something that I didn't really expect before I came up. Going in houses.
Explain.
I mean, you see so many cockroaches, especially in vacant villas. You do see cockroaches, you see creepy crawlies. Because
everyone thinks that Dubai real estate is about this selling sunsets, owning Manhattan lifestyle, where every property you go into is a multi-million-dollar penthouse or a mansion.
Yeah.
Tell us the real side of Dubai real estate. Or like, there's obviously those nice places, right? Like you sold a few, like.
Oh God, yeah.
Well, you probably sold more than a few, but there's a lot of nice places, right? But tell us about the bad side.
Right, so I'll tell you a funny story.
I love stories.
So there was one time I was working on a rental unit, and the owner. You know, a lot of these landlords, sometimes they just don't really care too much. They just kind of let the house go, whatever.
Right.
Anyway, so it'd been vacant for a while.
Okay.
And I take my client in, and we're walking around, and we're all like, oh God, there's a horrible smell. Really doesn't smell very good. So anyway, we're walking around the villa, get upstairs, and we see somebody had completely just blew the toilet up.
Really? Because usually, I've had that loads of times where you walk in. So I used to deal with JBR, right? And a lot of the properties were vacant. They were a bit old, and when the owners would leave them vacant, they would switch off the DWA.
Yeah, so you can't.
So you go in and you
flush the toilet.
flick the flickers and nothing happens. Yep. But there was never anything in the toilets. But it was almost the stale water.
No, I'm not. I know that smell.
Wasn't.
I know that smell.
Wow.
No. This was not that. This was diarrhea.
What did you say to the client? What did you say to the client?
I mean, you know, what can you say? Oh, I'm so sorry. Obviously, I didn't do this.
So moral of the story is, check the property 15 minutes before you go in, just so there's no one nasty.
So for this one, it wasn't like it wasn't like I was there before them. It was like we were doing a tour. Do you know what I mean?
So you couldn't really run around.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
So, oh my God, mortifying. But luckily the client, they were super cool about it. That we just kind of laughed it off.
I think you have to. If you don't laugh, then you're never going to speak to them again, because you're filled with anxiety of it happening again.
Yeah. So I mean, we see all sorts of stuff like that.
And then you mentioned cockroaches.
Yes. I hate them.
I was actually doing a viewing before. When I was a rental agent. Walked into a property. The owner said the tenants had left a couple of weeks ago. Go around, get photos so you can list it. Because back then it was so much easier to get a listing than what it is now. But got a listing, went around, took photos. I walked in and the floor was covered with about 200 cockroaches. They're all dead, so they're all just turned on their backs.
Yeah.
And I remember walking in, and this is how serious Dubai real estate gets. I remember walking in and thinking, nope, see you later. And then I was at the lift and I went, well, I'm here now, aren't I? I might as well try. So I tried to take photos of a property that had 200 cockroaches spread out on the floor. And I remember sending them to our marketing team saying, please edit the floor. And they said, why? I said, just look at the photos. And honestly, it was horrible. Honestly. And I had a viewing the next day, and they and I said to the owner, if you don't get it sorted, I'm just going to stop doing viewings. I can't show that to someone. Yeah. And it's crazy how they were like, oh yeah, okay, no worries, we'll get someone to try and sort it. Like, that's just Dubai real estate. People are like, cool, whatever. You see something in a toilet, you're like, oh well, whatever. Like, it happens. It's like, it's so super chill. But yeah, I think there's a huge misconception. Everyone thinks that every property is perfect, whereas like people I've heard stories be like people climbing over through windows, through back gates to do viewings.
God, we've all done that, haven't we? God, yeah.
And it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff.
Isn't it?
But so I was just gonna say about cockroaches. Like, I never pictured myself actually physically having to pick cockroaches up off the floor before viewings, but I mean, I've done that. I think we've all done. Well, yeah, you take a bit of tissue and you I mean, you got.
You get the brush. You get the brush and sweep them,
or just like kick them out. I mean, you know, you got to sell the house, innit?
What's it like? Because you done villa, right? You're a specialist in Arabian ranches, and you've done that since the start.
Yes.
How, if you had to give a bit of advice to someone starting off in Arabian ranches, or maybe even a similar community, what's 3 things you would tell someone to focus on the most?
Obviously, your calling, but try and learn as much as you can about the community, because especially in these villa communities, Arabian ranches, meadows, springs, there's different types, different square footages. Yeah. You kind of need to know what you're on about.
Yeah. So I mean, we call Cypress the Queen of Al Reem, because ask her anything about Al Reem and she'll know.
I can tell you.
But we say that, but you've genuinely taken that to your own, right?
Yeah.
That's what you do.
It's my bread and butter.
Okay. So you've got calls, you've got area knowledge. What's the third thing? What's the third thing you'd say?
I mean, obviously, like we said, patience. I think you know, don't be pushy, because people can smell desperation. Yeah. Do you know, like, it just comes across.
That's the hardest thing though, because you've got. I've heard so many success stories, but there's also a lot of those success stories start off by talking about the hard times where, like, people are scrambling around for a deal last minute. If not, they're about to go on a plane home. Yeah. And I think it takes quite a lot for a person to be able to sit there, having no money in their account, and look at someone when they say, "This is great, but we're going to go with something else." I think it's hard, and people start scrapping around, and
it's so
and that's
painful.
I think that's where, unfortunately, a lot of people end their journey in Dubai. So how would you tell someone, or what would you say to someone to be patient? I know you talked about like let the grass grow, or watering the grass.
Reap what you sow.
Reap what you sow. But how do you actually put that to practice, or how do you do it?
Look, maybe I'm a bit of a weirdo, but I'm very spiritual as well, and I think that everything happens for a reason.
Same.
So I'm like, okay, maybe this deal hasn't gone through, but something else is going to come. And
I think it's important to understand that this is a job where consistency prevails. Yep. So we always have two different ways to talk about agents in this job. You have hunters and farmers. Mm-hmm. Your hunters will bounce around from deal to deal, just leaving a mess in their trap behind them. Yep. And then the farmers are the people that just mind the crops, grow the crops, harvest them, and do the same thing again. Being consistent every single day. Do you think that's been hard for you to be consistent? Do you think that's one of the most hardest things to do?
It is tough because obviously in this job you could be busy doing your calls, and then all of a sudden you get a call about someone saying, oh, come and do a valuation right now. Do you know what I mean? It's very much, there's times when you have to drop whatever you're doing and get on with doing contracts, or get on with doing, a listing form or anything like that.
It's hard to keep a process.
Yeah, so it can be hard. Just gotta try and stick at it, innit?
Yeah, I think it's not expecting too much from it at the start as well.
Oh yeah, no.
It's just taking it step by step. You do your calls, you get your listings, you get your leads, you do your viewings, you get your offers, and you close your deals. And the more calls you make,
that's
the byproduct of that is doing the deals at the end. You just can't rush it.
So many people come into real estate thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to be a millionaire next week. It's not.
Have you seen that happen?
Honestly, there's a few times that has happened. Honestly, so
some people it happens. Like we don't lie when we say you can be a millionaire in a week.
But I'll say though, the people that I see have straight away success.
Yeah.
They kind of then get complacent. They're like, oh, this is so easy, and then they just drop. Do you know what I mean?
Why do you think that is?
Because if you think something's easy, then you're not going to work for it. Do you know what I mean? I mean, obviously there's luck comes into it.
Yeah.
And I think people do just get lucky.
Because I think that in order to do well in real estate in Dubai, when you're starting off, you have to understand one of the most important things, which is everyone else is more experienced than you. Yeah. So the only thing you can do as an individual to make up for that lack of experience is hard work. Is volume. That is the only way you're going to bridge the gap between you and the people at the top. And I think a lot of people forget that. They see all these top billers, they see these people that are making hundreds of thousands, millions a year in some cases, and they just try and copy what they're doing. And while it's good to take notes, you have no idea what they were going through at the start. I still know brokers that have been doing it for 10 years now, and they go on holidays with their kids and they're still glued to their laptop or glued to their phone because they understand that every minute they're away from the job, it's costing them money.
That's it. The top billers, they don't take a second to breathe, really.
And I think a lot of people just aren't prepared to sacrifice what they need to sacrifice in order to be the person and have what they want.
Yeah, because real estate as well is, you have to literally live and breathe it. You can't. There's no half-arse in it. Do you know?
It's the toughest job in the world. What we say.
I mean, obviously we're not like surgeons and stuff.
No.
But
there's a line right. There's a line right.
It's tougher than you'd think. Let's just put it that way. Tougher than you'd think.
Cool. So I think we've got a couple of minutes, right? Got a couple of minutes. So I'd like to end the podcast. So firstly, thank you for coming on. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
I'd like to end just by asking you a couple of questions, and they're quick fire, and see how we get on. So, if I could guarantee you an answer to one question, it could be literally anything, but if I could guarantee you I could give you an answer to it, you're going to get one question. What question would you ask? What question do you want to know the answer to that no one's able to answer in the world?
Okay, so the thing that pops into my head straight away is reincarnation real?
Okay.
I know, it's so
No,
different.
it's so interesting.
But yeah.
No one knows. Yeah, it's crazy because you hear these stories about like kids waking up in the night shouting something that happened like 50 years ago.
Yeah. I
Interesting.
do believe in it. I do believe in it myself, but I just,
Very
it would
cool.
be nice to know for sure.
Very cool. If you could instantly master any skill, what would it be and why?
Singing. I'd love to be a singer or a rapper.
A rapper?
Oh my God, I think that would be like my dream.
To be a rapper?
I'd love to be a rapper.
What type of rap? Like old school rap, new
Old school rap.
drill, like old school?
Old school rap.
Like Tupac?
Yeah, Tupac.
Okay.
Female version.
Very
Mixture
interesting.
between Cardi B and Tupac. And Nicki Minaj. No.
Okay, and Nicki Minaj, great. So, if you could have dinner with anyone dead or alive, who would it be and why?
My grandma.
Your grandma?
Yeah, my grandma, who's
Oh, that's so good. Don't make
she
me cry.
passed. Oh God, no. Honestly, I'd love to, because, mate, she'd be so fucking proud of me.
Really?
She would, yeah. Like, she would.
I think that's. Do you know what? I think that's something that people don't think about often enough. It's like a lot of people think that they're having the toughest time in life. They think that everything's not going their way, and I can guarantee if you speak to your family, whether they're here or whether they're not anymore, every single one of them would be so proud of where you've come, what you do. And I think, like you said, it's about reflecting that.
Yeah.
It's about genuinely thinking that, or thinking about it, and yeah, I think it's a pretty special thing. So, what dinner would you have? What would you go to?
KFC, gotta be. KFC. I always say, right, I ask people.
Are you a beans or gravy girl? I'm a
Gravy.
beans guy. I like beans.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you like beans cold from the tin?
Me. Huh?
Cold from the tin? Do you know? Have you not seen that?
Cold from the tin? What?
Have you not seen? Do you like your baked beans cold from the tin?
What?
Mate, have you not seen that?
No.
With a spoon or a fork? Oh, with the spoons that you can get the sauce. Mate, I'll show you later.
Right,
It's Joanna
you're gonna have to
Lumley.
show me that because I
It's
have
Joanna
no
Lumley.
idea.
Do you know what I'm on about? No.
Vicky doesn't have a clue. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay, well, I think we'll leave it there, guys. So thank you for joining us on the BWC podcast, where we have real talk with real estate agents. And today, obviously, we had Cypress O'Connell. Thank you. I said O'Connell, not McConnell.
Same diff.
Sorry.
Same diff.
Action. Take. Cut.
Take.